Hey, my beautiful friend, it's Heather Dunlop here with Thriving Woman. And what I want to share with you today is how to ditch self sabotage. So, one of the things I want to share about is that for those of us who have been sexually abused, molested, been through domestic violence, we've always been told keep the secret, keep the secret, keep the secret. Shh, don't let anybody know because they'll look at you differently. And you and I know that it's not something we did that caused that. And yet we feel this shame and we feel like we have to keep this secret, this horrible secret about what happened to us. Not something we did. It's not our shame to carry because we aren't the ones who were the offender and create this heinous act. We happen to be on the receiving end of it. So why should we carry a secret? We're only telling about our side of the story and our experience as someone who was attacked and molested, as someone who was sexually assaulted. We're not the offender, who should have the shame. They should have the shame, not you. So I know this happens. A lot of us end up self sabotaging, especially when it's something that's really, really important to us, like getting a new job or stepping up and taking more money or really stepping into a relationship that is very fulfilling and loving towards you. And you self sabotage right at the very end. And then you're sitting there in that moment and saying, I blew it. I blew it. God, I did it again. I blew it again. And there might be a challenge in figuring out why you do that. Well, it comes from your beliefs, your deep rooted beliefs. And that belief that you have to keep the secret might be what's driving you to self sabotage. So we'll work together and we can work on getting rid of that belief so you no longer believe that it's your responsibility to keep the secret because it's not. So today, let's talk about self sabotage and how do we work around it? Well, the very first thing you want to do is you want to recognize it when it comes up. So, when you're having a great day and you're in the moment, you're doing something that's really important to you. Let's say, for example, you're a real estate agent. I may use real estate agents a bit. That's okay. I'm familiar with the role. And you're a real estate agent and you're in the homeowner's home and you're presenting your listing and you're presenting to them why they should list their home with you and why you're the best person for them to work with. Sorry, I got a sneeze caught. And just as they're sitting there and they're nodding and they're agreeing with you and they're enjoying your presentation and they're right there with you. And at the very end, you don't ask them for the listing. You self sabotage and you give them a way out that they weren't even thinking of. And you walk out of the house and you're like, God, I blew it again. That would have been a great listing for me. I could have done so well with that listing. I could have gotten them a great price and served them extremely well. And I blew it. And self sabotage kicked in. Here's the thing, what you want to do first, you want to recognize when you're in that moment, when you're in the process of sabotaging. So you're sitting there with those clients, those potential clients, those homeowners that you want to list their home for. And they're agreeing with you and they're liking your presentation and they like you. And they're like, yes, yes, yes. And in their mind, they're thinking, God, this is the agent for me. This is the right agent for us, for our home. She's going to get it done. And you start to self sabotage and you say, well, if you wanted to look at some other agents, that's okay. I get it. Stop. Recognize that is you sabotaging yourself. They didn't put that out there. You did. So stop it in the moment. Recognize it right then and there. Recognize that moment. Say, okay, hey, wait, hang on a second. You know what? I am the right person for you. And I believe it with my whole heart. And here's why. And I would love for you to list your home with me because I'm going to give you my absolute best efforts and I'm going to do everything I can that's within my power to get your home sold for you for the price that you're asking and within the time frame that you're looking for. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to work with me and choose me to be your agent? So you then walk out of the house with a listing, right? It's time to celebrate. Woo, you got the listing. Why? Because you recognized in that moment that you were about to sabotage it. and you caught yourself. You caught those thoughts. You caught the doubt, and you didn't let it come out your mouth. And you said, hey, let me just take 1 second here. Let me ask you, when I am your agent, do you see me giving you the absolute best service I possibly can? And what are they going to say? Yes. If they say no, that's okay. Because you know what? In that moment, you didn't sabotage it yourself. They just might say, oh, we want to think about it. Really? Well, what's to think about? What do you need to think about? Are there any questions you have that I can answer while I'm here right now? Because I want to make sure you have as much information as possible to make your decision in this moment. And if it's not me, that's okay. So you're putting in your absolute best effort in that moment. You stopped the self-sabotage before it happened because you recognized it coming on. You recognized those thoughts. And that's the second step. Stop the behavior. Stop it. In that moment, change what you're doing. You may need to snap. Snap gets to the subconscious mind. It says, hey, wait a second. This is important. Pay attention. We're going all in here. I need my brain fully functioning and focused on this very moment right here because this is important. So when you're sitting there at that table with them and you're talking to them about listing their home, and all of a sudden you're getting to the end of the presentation and you're getting a little nervous and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this. Oh my gosh, they should really just go with someone else. Stop. Hey, wait a second. You know what? I'm going to give you my absolute best effort. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure you get that listing. And I'm going to do everything I can to make sure your home is sold at the best price possible and the quickest time frame possible. Is that something that you believe that we can do together? And they'll say yes or no. And then you have the full information because you put it all out there. The other thing you want to do is you want to reframe it. So let's say you're in that moment and you're sitting there with the couple, talking to them about listing their home. And you might just need to move yourself physically because you're seeing them right on one-on-one. You're talking to the two of them and you're getting good vibes and all. And then all of a sudden the self-sabotage thoughts start to creep in and your body's saying, oh no, I can't do it. And you kind of feel yourself shrinking down a little and pulling back and you're easing away from them. And you're like, oh my gosh, it's happening. I'm doing it again. Stop it. Reframe it and say, okay, let me get up. Let me shake. Let me move. Let me just shift my seat in my chair a little bit. Let me lean in and let me view this from a different perspective. Instead of worrying about whether or not they choose me, do I want to work with them? Have you thought about that one? Do you want to work with them? Are these the kind of clients you want to work with? Because when you're in a listing agreement with someone, it could go on 3 months, 6 months, and you have to have a well-working relationship and be able to share information with them that they may not want to hear. So are they going to be the kind of people that will understand and will accept it and will look at it logically? Yes, there will be emotions involved, but will they also look at it logically? Do you see yourself providing the best advice for them to make an informed decision with the information available? So reframe it. Instead of worrying about, oh my gosh, what are they thinking of me? What do they want to do with me? They're not going to choose me. They're going to reject me. Switch it in your head. Sit up a little, change your body slightly, and think to yourself, do I want to work with them? So those are the 3 things you want to do when you about self-sabotage. And I use the example of a real estate agent because it's in sales and we can all imagine ourselves doing this. I believe you can, especially, professional women. We're out there in sales. We're putting in efforts all the time. Even if we're not in the sales department, we still have to present ourselves in a way to our clients, our customers, our coworkers, management, in a way that gets our point across. And you might feel yourself sabotaging yourself in that moment because you're a bright, shining light and you're capable of doing this. But because of that secret, that hidden secret, that deep, deep, deep belief that you must keep the secret. You're used to keeping yourself hidden, and you're used to not sharing information. And that rolls over and impacts all other areas of your life. So let's talk about this. Let's work together to get this done, because self-sabotage doesn't get us anywhere. It doesn't get you anywhere. It never got me anywhere. It just got me further and further away from my goals. So much further away that there were times when I thought I wouldn't accomplish them. There were times when I gave up on them. And you may have felt that too. If you've self-sabotaged, you've probably felt that too. And I get it. I get it because I've lived it. And I understand how to turn it around and get rid of the self-sabotage. Let's ditch it. Let's just ditch it together once and for all. Ditch self-sabotage. It has no place in your world anymore. So let's work together to get that done. So remember 3 steps about when you want to get rid of self-sabotage, ditch it. In that very moment that you recognize it happening, take a quick second in your head and recognize the behavior, right? Then you want to stop it in its tracks. I'm not going to tell them how, they should go look at other agents because they might find a better one for me, unless that's actually what you want to do, because you decided in your mind that they're not the right clients for you. But let's say they are the right clients for you. Recognize in that moment when the words start to come out of your mouth at the end of your presentation that, okay, well, why don't you take some time and think about it and get back to me? That's just an out. That's an easy out for you. And we're not about that anymore. So stop that behavior in that very moment. Snap, get yourself ready. Okay, you know what? What do you see when the 2 of us are working together? Because I want to provide you the absolute best service. And then reframe it, right? They want to work with you. They're giving you all the vibes. They want to work with you, all the positive vibes. They're just ready for you to ask for it. So in that moment, if you're seeing yourself sabotaging that, also reframe it and say, okay, are these the clients I want to work with? Yes? Good. Let's do this. Let's make this happen. And then when you walk out the door, you leave knowing you gave it your absolute best effort. You left everything on the table. And you didn't miss out on the listing because you sabotaged yourself. If you did not happen to get that listing, you put all of your best efforts forward and there's something that just wasn't clicking between you. And that's okay. You move on to the next one. But don't let it be that you didn't get the listing because you sabotaged yourself and you stopped yourself from putting out your best efforts. Let's ditch the self-sabotage. So if this is resonating with you and you want to take this a level deeper with me, I'd love to work with you. I'm going to put my link in the chat to my calendar where you can go ahead and book a 15-minute call with me. And let's take this down a level deeper and see how you and I can work together, because I'm here for you. And I want to ditch that self-sabotage with you. I want to help you through this. And let's get to those core beliefs, because that's really what's driving the self-sabotage. All right, this is Heather Dunlop. And always, always, always remember, you have strength within you.